My name's Sarah, I'm 36 and I'm from Banbury and I go to the Brompton Hospital in London. I was diagnosed 3.5 years ago, but it actually took me 8 years to get a diagnosis. So from my early 20s, I realised that I was getting really breathless doing activity. I'd always been really fit and really active. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't keep up with my friends when we went walking. I couldn't talk at the same time as walking along with them. And I kept going to the doctor, and the doctor just kept saying it's anxiety, or they kept saying it's you're getting unfit, and things like this. And I went every year for 8 years and was always told, no, there's nothing wrong with you, and no tests were ever done. And then eventually, 8 years later, obviously something had happened by then, and the pH had developed quite well. So one day I was getting up to go to work, and I literally just collapsed on the floor, and my lips were blue and my feet were blue and I couldn't breathe properly. Was taken to hospital, and from then onwards I then entered the NHS and I went through all the testing, and it took 6 months then to actually get my proper diagnosis. And yeah, so I was eventually diagnosed with PH, and to be honest, it was a massive relief, because although I was incredibly poorly, and although, you know, it's horrifying to find out the statistics and the illness that you've got, it was actually a relief, because it took me so long to get a diagnosis, going to the doctors and being told there's nothing wrong with you, and you know that there's something wrong with you. Before I got diagnosed, I was a primary school teacher and I was very active, always running around doing lots of stuff. And then I collapsed one day and got very ill and diagnosed with PH. And since then, my life literally changed overnight. I've never gained my strength or my fitness or anything like that back again. My life now is very different to what it was before. So instead of being surrounded by children, busy doing stuff, I basically spend my time in my house alone with my dog every day. I can't do very much. I can maybe make some food and things like that in the day. I basically potter around the house, you know, maybe do a bit of washing up if I can, that sort of stuff. But and whenever I do any activity now, I have to use oxygen all the time that I do activity. I'm okay when I'm resting, but whenever I move, whenever I talk on the phone to people for very long, whenever I stand up to just walk to turn the TV on, I have to put my oxygen on to do those things. Out the house, I can't walk really very far at all, despite trying to do lots of, you know, rehab, doing exercises. My walking has never really improved. So I have to use a mobility scooter at the age of 36, all the time out of the house. And simple things like going upstairs are no longer simple. Stairs are a nightmare. You have to stop every few steps to catch your breath before you can go up. Every day I go downstairs, stay downstairs all day, and then go back up at the end of the day because it's just too hard to climb upstairs. So it's had a massive effect on my life. So when I was first diagnosed, I was put onto a couple of PH specialist drugs plus some background things. And that did really well for me. For the first few months, I suddenly could start walking again from not being able to walk very far in my bed, literally being able to walk only a couple of steps. I was able to walk, say, 50 metres, and then gradually over the next year, 2 years, I was able to get my fitness up. I was able to get my strength up as my heart started to recover on these drugs. Then after about 3 years of being on the drugs, my body got used to it, I believe, and I started to deteriorate again, and we increased the drugs, and unfortunately it didn't really have a very good effect. So now I'm waiting for a lung transplant. That's my only option, really. There are other drugs that are available, but they're not available for me because my body reacts to them. So before I got diagnosed, I was a teacher, and you know, I had a reasonably good income. And then all of a sudden, I got ill and I had to retire from my job. So I was medically retired off with a very small pension because I'm quite young. So all of a sudden, I had no real income coming in. And for the first time in my life, I had to rely on benefits and the welfare system, which I'd never done before. And to be honest, it's been incredibly difficult. It's a really daunting process. It's really scary. You feel quite embarrassed, to be honest, because, you know, you don't normally, you know, people, your friends aren't having to claim benefits, but you are. But one of the worst parts is that you have to really fight for it. They don't really believe you necessarily. You have to prove things. You have to keep giving evidence. And at the moment, I'm actually going through appeal because they don't believe that I'm quite ill enough, even though, you know, I'm waiting for a transplant, I use oxygen, I can't walk. But I'm going to have to go to appeal, go to court to actually prove that I am not well enough to be able to, you know, to do activities, and I do need some extra financial support to be able to live my life. When I was first diagnosed, I actually sort of pushed my friends away slightly because it was such a scary situation. It took me a long time to get my head around it. I went from being a person that could go out and do stuff with my friends to being someone who couldn't. And it was a big adjustment for me. And although they tried to sort of reach out to me, come and do this, I kind of pushed them away for a while until I got used to it myself. And then, you know, my husband encouraged me to keep seeing my friends, you know, and stuff. I'd been with my husband for about 10 years by the time I got diagnosed. We'd been married a couple of years by then. And to be honest, he's been really wonderful. I literally could not have coped with this illness without him. I mean, mentally, it's incredibly difficult to be told that, you know, you've got this life-limiting illness and everything. So you do need sort of an emotional support, and it's been an amazing emotional support for me. You know, when I'm crying, he'll give me a cuddle and we talk through it all. He is the one that I talk to all the time about it. But not only that, all the practical things he does for me. You know, when I'm too poorly to do anything, he'll cook me dinner. You know, he'll do all the washing for us, he'll do the cleaning, he'll do all the jobs for me, take me to the doctors every week for my appointments, drives me around everywhere, and even things like, you know, when I'm too tired to go up the stairs, he carries me up the stairs. And when I was first poorly, he used to help me get dressed. I couldn't lift my arms up. He used to help me get dressed. He used to brush my hair for me, wash me, that sort of stuff. He's been really amazing. And I think you need those sorts of support. I really don't think I could have done it. I could have survived. I could have remained positive if it wasn't for the fact that I'd got a husband that was positive, that kept me going, kept me smiling, kept me going out there saying, come on, we've still got to live our lives, and also completely supported me emotionally and physically as well.